And fingers crossed, it works! Welcome back to Living with a Classic. Out here in the workshop, got something here on the bench we're going to have a look at. Wiper motor, and this did not really start out as a video actually. I thought it would be an easy thing to fix. As you know from previous video when we took the daily driven XJ6 for a drive, the wipers didn't want to cooperate, and I thought it's going to be a fuse, it's going to be a back connection somewhere, it's going to be all that. I tested everything. I even went so far as I unplugged the cables to it, checked that there was power to that, and I made sure that it was exactly the same on my XJ12, which is basically the same car. And yep, everything seems to work. Something is wrong with the wiper motor. So I quickly took it out, and then I realized, you know what, I should probably start filming this. So I have it here on the bench, just removed it from the car, and when we put it back in, I'll show you how to remove it. It's really quite simple. But let's take this thing apart and see if we can hopefully fix the issue, because I want to have wipers on my car. Here's the wiper motor in all its glory. It is quite a simple device. It's really just a motor here that turns over and it moves this cable back and forth, and that's what moves your wipers. Really not that difficult. So first I thought this cable was a little bit loose here. So I thought, okay, it's a bad earth connection. Tighten that up, put it all back. No difference. Cleaned up some of the connections a little bit with contact cleaner. No difference. I was getting a good connection there. I even tried, hitting it a little bit. It didn't want to go either. So what I'm really hoping for is stuck brushes, dirty brushes, something like that in there. Dirty parts in the motor that I can fix. I hope nothing else is seized. They were working fine before I put the car off the road for a bit to the engine swap. And then they stopped working. Well, they've been a little bit iffy sometimes, but if they stopped working, all you had to do was sort of park them again, and then they started working again. But I don't know too much about these. I haven't had them apart that many times, so we're not going to do a complete disassembly. I really just want to get this working. If I can't get this one to work, I will borrow the one from my other car and put it in here for now, and then get this thing fixed or get a new one. But I think we'll start by taking this apart, see what the brushes look like, go into there. If that seems fine and it seems like I can get it working, we'll take this cover off here and at least grease this up so it's nice and fresh grease inside it. So I'm guessing that these two bolts should come out and then this should come apart. We'll see. Using an adjustable wrench here just because my Imperial stuff that's this small is well, it's out in the other unit and it's raining, so I'm not gonna go get them right now. Plus it's only two of these. We'll put that here just in case they're different. A little bit more. But yeah, I'm really hoping for an easy fix here. I'm not I mean, I can take things apart and clean them, electrical things, but I'm definitely not an electrical engineer. So, I mean, I could probably find, an issue in a winding or something, but yeah, I'm not gonna, go any deeper than that. But I am really hoping that this is the issue, and it should be the issue in here because it's getting power out here. The other issue could be if there's a break in here. And we will take some fine sandpaper and sand this up because this one looked a little bit oxidated, but I did clean it up with contact cleaner. It's quite stubborn. There we go. And they're identical. So we'll put those to the side. This is already starting to want to come apart. Okay. The brushes, I heard them click out there. And then we have this part here, and we just have some of the magnets in here, but let's see if it can focus on it. Not really, but that looks very nice and clean inside. I mean, it definitely hasn't been full of water or anything, so we'll put that to the side and we'll have a look here. So my guess is that either, you know, something has happened. Maybe one of these contacts is dirtier than the other one, or has a worse connection, and it was stuck in that position and didn't want to go, because previous times when it was stuck, it happened twice. I was able to wiggle the wipers a little bit and it started working again, and then it was fine for a couple months. So I think it's just dirty in here. So we'll clean this area up. And that looks nice and greased. Stay. And here we have these parts. And I read in the manual that it's something like 4.8 millimeters, has to be more than that. And then these are worn. They're definitely more than 4.8 millimeters. And there should be a lip there, difference in height in those two. And there definitely is. The only thing I'm noticing is there's a little bit of a step to them, but didn't say anything in the manual about that. So I don't see any cables off anywhere. It's honestly very nice and clean in here. Even though this is all dried up, there's you know, stuff here to protect from moisture. Definitely no moisture in there. So I'm hoping that that is fine. I think we're gonna just clean up this part, and I can't remember right now what it's called, commutator or something like that. But we'll clean this up and also make sure that there's no debris in the lines between there. This looks fine. It's definitely not rusty. And I am wondering if it's supposed to have a little bit of grease in there maybe too. It's quite dry there. At least it's my guess. I would put a little bit right there. Doesn't say anything about it in the manual, but I'm going to have a tiny bit down there because it's usually a bearing in there. But on this one, it's just a ball bearing. So we'll add a little bit of grease there. Should help it out. But let's clean this part up. I've just clamped it very gently here in the vise. This is a piece of 1200 grit paper. So my idea is just to sand this area very gently around here to, I don't know, get a better contact out. Maybe I need to have it a little bit more tight. Let's see, this may not work. Okay, that seems better. Okay, we're already seeing a big difference there, so definitely just dirty. And this is where all the, you know, electricity goes in the motor and makes it all work. So it should have a nice connection there, be nice and clean. Speaking of clean, I do realize I really need to clean up my workbench. Something I was wanting to do, sorry I bumped you guys there. Something I wanted to do sort of all Christmas, but you know, didn't happen. It was cold and it was just a lot nicer to be inside with family. Okay. But I think I'm going to do that tonight. Just put on some good music and clean up the workbench. Nice to start up the year with a nice clean bench. Okay, we're starting to make it look very nice here. I will continue to just clean this thing up a bit, and I'll bring you guys back in for the final result. And I'd say that looks really good. Nice and shiny. And let me get like a thin screwdriver maybe. Just make sure that all of these areas are clean of debris. Yeah, almost don't want to say this because I'll probably jinx it, but that's the nice thing about these old cars, that you can usually just take things apart, clean them, and they'll be good for another 20 or 30 years. I mean, this thing is 47 years old, so of course some things can stop working sometimes. All right. So the tricky thing is getting this together again. I think I'm going to utilize those little cables. Try and get this all together. Okay, let's see. Don't want to get any grease on those little brushes. That one is on. There we go. That is all the little brushes in place. Not sure how much of that you could see, but it's turning nice and smoothly. And we're going to get a little bit of grease up on there, and then this should just slide back on. This is just some lithium moly grease. Might not be the exact correct thing for this, but I think it's better than nothing, and it can withstand a lot of heat, and it's not going to go anywhere. So let's see if we can line all of this up that way, it seems. Okay, we got the screws here now. And that's one of the nice things about having one of these as a daily driver, because if this was one of the other cars, I would have, cleaned this like crazy, painted it up, polished it, which is actually a little bit ridiculous for a part that you're never going to see. This sits behind the battery, behind a little piece of Bakelite or plastic. No one ever sees it, and it's not like it's going to work any better, but that's what you do when you restore something. So this is actually quite relaxing. All together in that end. So now I think we're gonna, let's bite the bullet and have a look in here. I've already had this part off because there's another cable in the car that goes onto there, a big earth cable. So, and once again, I don't think, maybe I have some small tools over here, I just realized. One of these might fit. All right, that one fits. Now really what I'm looking for here is, I just want to make sure that there is grease in there, and I'm probably going to put some more in there, and just make sure it's not all rusty in there, so that's not the reason why it's not moving. So maybe the motor itself is fine, but in here it's all gummed up or rusted. But I don't think it should be, because the motor sits down, so if you get water in there, it should go into the electrical part and ruin that as well. Okay, let's see. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. There is the drive shaft or drive gear coming out from the motor, and then this just turns back and forth. And I'm guessing that that part over there has to do with the position and the park. I'm just really guessing here because there are some contacts over there. But yeah, that is actually nicely greased up already. Glad maybe just a tiny bit, but it really doesn't look bad. Okay, and that can work its way around. Yeah, I am not completely sure what everything in here does, to be honest. But everything did work before. It parked and everything like that, so trying to figure out if those are contacts or what they are. It just seems like it's places where grease is at. My guess is that when this travels back and forth, it does make or break a connection out there, which probably has to do with the whole parking thing, and I think that is adjusted here. So it worked fine before. I think we're going to leave well enough alone for now. Put it back together. If that doesn't work, we can take it apart later. But I mean, the part in here is definitely fine. So if it would be anything, it would be out here in that housing, that there's some corrosion. Let's take it. I mean, we're here. We can see now it is basically adjusted all the way back, if that is an adjustment. Okay. All right. See if you guys can see this. It didn't look at all like I thought it would. It's just sort of a push button there, which I guess does something. Okay, it gets pushed by this piece of plastic here. Okay. Maybe the different holes there are for if it parks to the right or left. Not sure. But that's good. We got some contact cleaner in there. Put this all back together, put the top back on, go back to the car, and let's see if this works. Okay, down at the car, as you can see, I have it mounted in place. I want to know if it works before moving forward. I just plugged in the cables here, the power cables. I have the earth just stuck on the negative of the battery here. Switch on the ignition and see if this does anything. And fingers crossed, it works! I will have wipers again, and we have 2 speeds. That's awesome, and it seems to park as well. I've removed the battery because that's what you need to do to get this thing out and in. And let me see if I can get a light set up here for you guys. But see the 2 studs there? That's where it sits on that rubber mounting. So what I've done is, you can see all the white stuff there. I just sprayed in a bunch of cavity wax here because it's a really good time to do that when things are out. Didn't see any rust in there, but anyways, that's a good idea. This is where the cable goes in. This part that moves back and forth, so we're going to clean that off a bit, put some new grease on it. And then you have the spindles over here. Let me move some things out of the way. That's the bracket for it. And here are the spindles. You can see they're completely free spinning at the moment, so you need to remove the wiper arms and they just pull straight up. And then when you put this in, they will move, spin over, we'll go to the next one, and then you put everything back together. You run the wipers for a bit without the wiper arms on, make sure that they're in park, and then you put them on, you know, next to the windshield and put everything back together. I'm just going to try and clean off this cable a little bit. I mean, it still has a bunch of the old grease on it, but get a little bit of it off and make sure I don't get anything else stuck on there. Looks to be pretty nice and clean now. We'll put a bit of grease on it. This is going to be kind of messy, but it's a good thing to do. And now I'm just going to start feeding the cable in through here. There we go. And try and get some of this grease off my hands. Should start seeing this thing spinning. There we go. That one's spinning now. And then the other one in a little bit. See, it goes this way. We also have some cables here to go on. Got the ground cable over there and the other two connections I showed you earlier. But there we go. Now that one's spinning as well. So I'm going to put the connectors back on, put this all into place with this little bracket, tighten it up, put the battery back in, and let's see if it works. It's all put back into place. You see the battery is there, and behind the battery is that washer motor. There's supposed to be a piece of plastic over that. I have that laying inside. I don't know why it was never fitted to this car, but I have an extra piece, so we'll put that back later in a couple of weeks if this proves to work as it should. But the battery's connected. Let's see if they do anything. So I'll turn on the ignition. Okay, I got some funny noises. But they did sort of cycle. All right. They're going back and forth now. You can probably see that movement. Hope you can hear me over the rain. Very fittingly, it just started raining a lot. Let's try the next speed. And there we go, they park. So I'll do that just one more time with the parking. Just to make sure. There we go. They're in the park position, so I'm gonna get the wipers now. We'll put those on and hopefully they continue working. Here's one of the blades. So really what you want to do is just get it on there so it's in a position that you want it when it's parked. So it's like, you know, almost off screen. So I think somewhere there. And push it on there. There we go. I think that is a pretty good park position. Let's get the other one on. And the same sort of idea there. Nice, you know, off the screen down there. There we go. They seem to be on there nicely. And that one needs to go down a little bit more, but may need to do that with a rubber mallet. No, I think it's actually in place. Let's try one more time if they work. Ignition on. And look at that. We have windshield wipers. And we have second speed also. And they park very nicely. It's about where they parked before. And then when the windscreen is wet, they do park a little bit lower, but I think I'm happy with that. Maybe they should move one tooth down, but I think they're pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. And they work. Really, really good news, especially now because it started raining again. It's basically raining every single day here. And I haven't really driven the car since putting a new engine in, except twice, just because I didn't have any wipers. But now that they work, I can start driving this more. We'll start ironing out any other bugs I have with it that don't work. There's some small things left with the engine, adjusting the exhaust in a bit, but I can start using it now, and you guys get to follow along of daily driving a classic once more. I know it's been a little bit dark in here with the light, and I always say I shouldn't work on cars down here, but sometimes that happens. I need to be somewhere inside, and it's a lot quicker to go down here than to get it into the workshop, which is at the moment full of 3 other cars. But I have some news on that end as well. I have some builders down here who have looked at this building. They're going to give me a quote on replacing the floor, putting a nice new concrete floor in here, and then also I will do a new ceiling in here and insulation and things, put heat in here, better lighting, so that this will be, I don't know if it'll be a place I work on cars, but it'll be a good place to store cars. We'll do a new garage doors on here as well. So it'll be just easy to take out and use any car I want to. So hopefully they come back with an offer I can afford, and I will be able to do that during the next year, which would be really cool. And then an ultimate goal at some point, if I can afford it, is to put a lift in here, because here the ceiling is high enough to do that. And I think that would be really fun, but that's just me dreaming. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope that if you have some issues with the wipers on your XJ, that you got some confidence to take it apart and at least clean it, have a look at it. As you saw, it was my first time taking one of these apart, so it wasn't that bad, and I don't know what half the stuff was, but I just cleaned it, put it back together better than it was before, and now it worked. Anyways, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.